things that separates the National Academy of Sports Medicine from other personal training organizations is the fact that we use the Optimum Performance Training Model, or the OPT model. What this model provides you as a personal trainer is a progressive program that elevates you from stabilization through strength and through power. Now, within those 3 levels, you have 5 phases of training. First phase being stabilization endurance. The next 3 phases are phase 2, strength endurance, phase 3, muscular development, and phase 4, maximal strength. Ultimately, you have phase 5, which is power. What makes the OPT model possible is the use of the integrated training principles. Now, the first point we want to discuss here is training in a systematic, progressive fashion. As we progress from level 1 to 2 up to 3, we want to make sure that our client has good stabilization. Can they control their body? Level 2 being strength, can they control their body under load? And through level 3, we want to make sure that the client can control their body under speed. Training fundamental movement patterns. So what we're talking about here is squat, hip hinge, push, pull, and press. We want the body to be able to move in different directions, different positions, in all motions, forward, backward, up, and down. We also want to make sure our client moves with optimal posture. That's the whole reason why we perform the assessments using the overhead squat, single leg squat, and push and pull, to name a few. From there, that's where you create the program to address overactive and underactive muscles so that our clients can move well. Performing motion through optimal range of motion. Can they optimize and can they take advantage of where their body is moving, right? It's not just about getting there through having flexibility, but can they control themselves with that range of motion? And that's what we're talking about with the word optimum. Again, all planes of motion. Can they move forward? Can they move to the side? And can they turn in a safe and efficient manner? And the last thing, again, can't reiterate this enough, is that are we as personal trainers using the information that we've found through the assessments to create that program that puts all of this together? Once we're in a position to create these programs, what we need to look at is what needs to be a part of their session with you, what needs to be a part of their movement strategy. So as we go through these components here, basically we're building out their workout plan. So the first thing is flexibility training. Looking at those muscles that are overactive, these are muscles that are doing too much. We want to down-regulate those muscles. We want those muscles to be less involved in pulling muscles or pulling joints out of position and creating more stress onto the joint. So that's where flexibility comes into play. Can we create a better relationship between agonist and antagonist? Cardiorespiratory or cardio training. Are they conditioned? Can they perform under time? Core training. This is related to those muscles that are underactive, those muscles that need to be upregulated, need to do more as far as stabilizing muscles and joints. Balance training. Again, life happens in space. To get from A to B, a lot of times you have to transition on a single leg. So here we need to know that can the client control their center of gravity over their base of support? Plyometric or reactive training. Life moves fast. We need to train our clients to be able to adapt to the speed of life. Speed, agility, and quickness training. Now, we look at these words as something that's typically related to athletes, but if you have a body, we can consider you an athlete. Life moves fast, moves in different directions. We need to be able to be agile, be quick, and be able to react to what's happening around us. Resistance training. This is the component of the workout that usually gets a lot of attention. But here is where we create programs based on the client's goals. And this is where the acute variables come into play as far as how long they're going to work, how heavy are they going to work, how much they're going to rest. When you take these integrated training components and you understand what your clients are capable of doing and where they want to go, this can be fashioned by you, the personal trainer, to create something that is going to get the clients to their goals in the safest, most efficient way possible. Taking those components, we can use this workout template. And here we'll have things that are relative to that client. So we want to look at what is their goal? What are we building this for? Who is it for? What is it for? And where are they in the process? So when we talk about the 5 phases of training, are they working on stabilization? Are they working on strength? Or are they working on power? And that's going to be divided up into those 5 phases of the OPT model. So here with the warm-up, what we're looking at now is what are we doing to get those overactive muscles to be a little less active. So what are we going to foam roll or use self-myofascial technique on? And what are we going to stretch, whether it's static, active, or dynamic? Next thing we want to look at is activation. How are we upregulating those underactive muscles? How are we getting that client to have more balance when it comes to the agonist and antagonist when it comes to their movement dysfunction? Skill development, or as we talked about with the speed, agility, and quickness. Again, life moves fast. How are we building in their ability to react to what is around them in the world? Like I said earlier, resistance training. This is what gets a lot of attention when it comes to fitness and exercise. So how are we building out this resistance training plan to account for the acute variables of sets, reps, how fast, or the tempo, and how much rest is involved? Client's choice. What I like to say about program design, it is just as much about the client being involved in the programming as it is about me. We need to meet them where they need to be met. Sometimes there's exercises your clients do not want to do, but more importantly, there are some exercises and movements that they want to do that has to be a part of their program if we are going to raise the level of compliance. And that's where client's choice comes into play. It has to be a program that is co-created, and this is where this becomes just as much about what their wants are as well as it is my wants for their exercise program. And because we've elevated their body to a level of exertion, now it's time to cool them down, which is the last part of this workout template. So we don't want to send them out onto the street with their heart rate elevated, so still sweating. There's a lot of tension in the body. What are we doing to get their body to calm down, reestablish optimal length-tension relationship so that they can go about their day without feeling that excess stress from their workout? The 3 levels of stabilization, strength, and power starts off with phase 1 stabilization. As a brief overview of what we're trying to accomplish with this phase, with stabilization endurance training, what we want to really adapt for the clients is mobility and flexibility. Can they move? Can they move well? This is the phase that's going to address those major compensations that we might have observed in the assessment process. Can they move well? Do they have joint range of motion? That's optimal for that area, but can they control it? And this is where core work comes into play. Postural alignment and control. This is the client now being able to put everything together. Can they move from top to bottom? And like what we said earlier, we want the client to be able to push, pull, press, squat, hinge. This is where we start to build those basic patterns. We want to introduce it to them if they haven't been doing it for a long time, and we want to make sure that they learn it well. And then the last component here is muscular and aerobic endurance. They haven't lifted in a while, or they've been doing it incorrectly for a long time. Here is where we want to establish those better patterns, safer patterns. So when it comes to phase 1, stabilization endurance training, overall what we're looking for is can they move better and with control. Having a healthy level of phase 1 stabilization endurance, the next level we want to work up to is strength. Now, strength level, you have those 3 basic phases: strength endurance, muscular development, and maximal strength. With phase 2, primary adaptations, core strength, and joint stabilization. Because endurance is still a part of this title right here, we want to make sure that we continue that. And you will start to see, as we look at more specific program design, that with the superset, we are still encouraging stabilization training. And the second point here, muscular endurance and prime mover strength. So the great thing about phase 2 is that you have a combination of a strength exercise along with a stabilization exercise in the resistance training portion of the workout. So this is a very much a foundational phase for level 2 training. Phase 3, after we've worked through strength endurance, is what we call muscular development. Overall, we're looking at continued core strength, as you'll see it from phase 2 there. But here we also have muscular strength and hypertrophy. So with this phase, with its acute variable selection, you're looking at muscular growth as a big part of this phase of training. After phase 3, we have phase 4, which is maximal strength. Primary adaptations are core strength, again, continuing that trend of core strength from the other 2 phases, but here we have maximal muscular strength. It's about force production. It's not about how fast you move, it's about how much weight we can lift at that point in time. So progressing through those 3 phases of level 2 strength, we're now in a better position to perform level 3 power. This is movement with speed, with velocity. The adaptations here are core power. So it's not just about having good core strength, it's about moving the core through speed. As this phase is built out, you have a combination of a strength exercise combined with a power exercise. So here you have maximal muscular strength. So you have a heavy exercise immediately followed by a fast moving pattern. As we go through the acute variables, you'll get more specific examples of how that's going to be executed in the resistance training program. So overall, you've progressed the client from stabilization through strength and through power in a responsible and progressive pattern. As we progress through the workout, we've done flexibility, we've done activation, and now it's time for skill development. In the workout template, skill development is an opportunity for us to work on plyometric training as well as speed, agility, and quickness. As you'll see, warm up first, activation, and now this is an opportunity for your client to work on their athleticism. Within skill development, one of the first things we want to work on is plyometric progressions. As we go from stability to strength and up to power, we have to remember we have to scale that responsibly just like we do everything else as we've done through flexibility as well as activation. So for level 1, we want to keep things low in amplitude to where when we perform an exercise, we want to hold the client into their optimal position for 3 to 5 seconds. So an example exercise we might do for plyometrics is a squat jump with stabilization. Again, we want to emphasize good kinetic chain alignment. So as my client does their squat jump, they're going to jump, land, and hold. I want shoulders level, hips level. I want to make sure they don't have that excessive forward lean, low back arch. I want to see that the hip, knee, and toes are in line, and they're going to hold that position for 3 to 5 seconds. We want to encourage that, and that will help reinforce the endurance part of their posture. As we move to level 2, now the tempo speeds up a little bit. They've got body control. They've earned their way up to the next level. We can take that same squat jump with stabilization, remove the stabilization, now repeat squat jump is going to be the exercise of choice. So as we go through our repetitions, they can go into and out of that squat jump position, repeating with control, no pain, and minimize, if anything, no compensations as we move in through the strength phases. Now level 5, which is power, this is where the client is moving as fast as they can possibly move. Again, no compensation. So relative to your clients, we want to keep it nice and explosive. Not just for those that are involved with sport or competition. This can be from that 18-year-old to that 90-year-old. You just have to be responsible in how you progress the client from stability through strength and into power. I'm going to have Jace come up here. And we're going to demonstrate what it is to look at a plyometric exercise. So Jace is going to stand with his feet hip width apart, nice and tall. Again, looking at the kinetic chain checkpoints, we want ears, shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles in line. And more importantly, from the front, we're looking at toes, second and third toe, knee, and hip. So once everything's in line, what we're going to do here is have Jace perform a squat jump with stabilization. Now, the important thing is landing mechanics. So as we are wanting to really emphasize fast movements under control, one of the main components we're looking at with level 1 plyometrics is landing mechanics. So it's one thing for Jace to start off in this position. I want to know that Jace can control accepting load as he lands. So I want Jace to go ahead and start off. Nice athletic position. He's going to, when I say, he's going to go ahead and jump. He's going to get a quick counter swing of the arms and shoulders. He's going to triple extend in the air. He's going to be as tall as he can, but when he lands, I want the feet to be in the same position as far as being hip width apart, pointing straight ahead. Nice position with the spine and the shin angle being even, and then he's going to hold that position for 3 to 5 seconds. So Jace, when you're ready, go ahead and jump and hold. So now's the time to make any adjustments. So his feet turned out a little bit. So go ahead and turn that right foot in a little bit. Good. Hip, knee, and toe are in line. No low back arch to speak of. Shin angle, trunk angle are nice and parallel. He's holding that for 3 to 5 seconds. And when he's ready, he's going to jump again. Nice quiet landing. Let's go ahead and fix those feet. His foot has a propensity to turn out a little bit. Hold there, abs tight, good. I want you a little bit taller in the air. All right, ready, and go. Good, nice quiet landing. Let's fix the feet. And we'll go ahead and get one more. Good, nice and hold, and relax. Go ahead and stand right there. Thank you, Jace, good job. So that's an example of a stabilization level of plyometric exercise. Now for strength, as we get into strength endurance all the way up to max strength, we're going to do a squat jump as an example of plyometric exercise. So same exercise, but what we're going to do is take away that stabilization hold. So that 3 to 5 seconds that we paused, made corrections, and I had him hold, we're going to eliminate that and we're going to make this more of a repeating motion. So again, as they've progressed from phase 1 to phase 2, they've earned their right to be a more repetitive, higher tempo speed. But again, we're not losing sight of the fact that we still want, I always want good landing mechanics. I still want him to get nice and tall, good extension of the hips, nice and triple extended as he's in the air. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the same start. All right, so one right after the other for 10 reps. Go ahead and jump, good. Get tall, eyes up, head up when you're in the air. Good. He's turning out a little bit, but that's okay. Minimize that, turn the foot in. Good. And let's get a couple more and relax. Good. All right. We know that his compensation right now is for that foot to turn out a little bit. That's something that we'll probably address on the cool down, but for the most part, if he's my client, that's something I want to see that we keep hammering in there for every warm-up so that when he does plyometrics, when he does any movement, we've prepared him through his flexibility as well as his activation. All right? How you doing? Good. Good. From stability through strength, we're going to move him up to power. So with this exercise, he's going to be as explosive as he can be. So he's going to move as fast as possible. What I mean for that is knowing what he's capable of, knowing what he can do without pain or discomfort and no compensation. He's going to perform what we call ice skaters. He's going to do a lateral bounding, and he's going to do that. Feet are going to be pointing straight ahead. He's going to accept load through triple flexion, and he's going to explode into the other direction into triple extension. I'm going to watch out for his spine. I'm going to watch to see that his head, shoulders, and hips stay in line. And from the front view, you want to see that hips, knees, and shoulders stay in line. Watch out for those feet to turn out. Watch out for excessive forward lean and a low back arch from the side. For him to be explosive, again, I want to see that he's comfortable with how far he's jumping. Not so far that he has to reach, but enough that he can explode into and out of the next position. So we'll go ahead and get about 8 ice skaters. We're going to go left to right as fast as you can control. All right, Jace, on you. Good, nice and controlled. He's going as fast as he can stabilize. Good extension, explode, couple more, and good. Thank you, Jace, appreciate that, good job. So those are examples of how you can progress a client from stabilization all the way up to power. Landing mechanics are going to be your utmost concern when it comes to stabilization endurance or phase 1 training. And this is where we can coach them up, have them get into proper position within that 3 to 5 second hold. They have better body control. We can speed up the tempo. Again, with a more repeated tempo, they can get into and out of position. Squat jump is a great example of that. And then into power, level 5, this is as fast as possible. They've definitely earned their right to become a level 5 or a power-oriented plyometric exercise. So with ice skaters, which can be a pretty fast and exhausting exercise, we just want to see that they can control themselves when they're moving to their highest level of speed. The next component of skill development is speed, agility, and quickness. So just like plyometrics, we want them moving fast, but we still want to be conscious of how we progress them responsibly. Yeah, this is not just for athletes. This is not just for that football player, basketball player, competitor. This could also be for that weekend warrior. This can be for your senior clients. This could be your weekend warrior. Anybody in that recreational type of environment can qualify for this. But again, life moves fast. We have to prepare our clients to be agile for what life has to throw at them. In level 1, 4 to 6 drills. You don't want to do anything too crazy to where they can fatigue and start to compensate. But we want to keep this something where they know what the pattern is, it is predictable, and we want to go at a slower velocity, something that they can control at any given point in time. When we use a speed ladder, we have a couple options, 1 ends and 2 ends. It's linear. When we are looking at the 1s and 2 ends, you're just going through the speed ladder under control. Right, as fast as they can control. We're not getting too crazy as far as changing direction as of yet, but here we're just trying to gradually increase the complexity as well as the intensity, which is why we have set it to be about 4 to 6 drills to start. Moving on to strength level, you can see here with 6 to 8 drills, we are now increasing the volume. And predictability is still there. They know the pattern. We still want them to be comfortable with what's happening because now we are going to increase the speed. We don't want to throw too much at them in too short of a time frame. So now we are going from, you'll see here, we're going primarily forward with that one ends and 2 ends to now doing a side shuffle and an Ali shuffle, which is more complex as far as the footwork is concerned. So a lot of changes are happening if you really think about the number of drills, the speed, as well as now we're throwing in a different plane of motion as far as the client's relationship is with the speed ladder. As we move on to level 5, power, or 3, we have 6 to 10 drills now. So we go from 6 to 8, we've upped the volume, 6 to 10, depending on how much you're going to give them in volume. Maximal unpredictability now, so we are really getting them to think about the movement, that's more complexity. But you'll see here we move up from moderate to explosive velocities. And one popular drill is to use a modified box drill. This can be a 5x5 or a 10x10 box drill. You can mix up the patterns with forward sprints, lateral shuffles, cariokas, backward shuffles, back pedals. It's up to you as a trainer and your creativity to give the client what they need to do to keep them mentally stimulated, not just physically. So when it comes to the speed, agility, and quickness and how we could progress, despite their background, despite their experience, we still need to be conscious of how we elevate the exercise selection, the speed, as well as the volume. When looking at skill development for your client, again, one of the big points here is match skill development exercise to the OPT phase. We can't say this enough. Between level 1, 2, and 3, or phase 1, phase 2 through 4, or phase 5, plyometric and speed, agility, and quickness, low amplitude, again, landing mechanics being the utmost concern. That is why we have the 3 to 5 second hold after you've landed. And the example that we had earlier with the squat jump to stabilization, 3 to 5 seconds in that optimal posture and position. As we get speed, agility, and quickness involved into this skill development, you want it to be predictable and under control, and we can ensure that by making sure they go at a speed that you can coach them through, and that's something that they can definitely show proficiency at before we move on to the strength levels. As we get into phase 2 through 4, higher amplitude, so they're jumping higher, maybe increased frequency. We've eliminated the rest when it comes to plyometrics. And speed, agility, and quickness, again, still predictable, and we are now moving at faster tempos. So you can give your clients a gauge of maybe 50%, or now, as we move up to phase 2 through 4, 60 to 85, as a motivation to move faster. Once we've shown control at higher speeds, at higher volumes, now it's time to move into power. And here, this is as fast as they can move, right? As high, as far as they can control with no compensations, no pain or discomfort. And speed, agility, and quickness, max unpredictability. If we can get them cognitively thinking about what they're gonna do with complex movement patterns or combinations. And again, we are emphasizing the explosive velocity. Again, this is gonna be relative to them. As a phase 1 workout, here's an example of what we can do for skill development. So for plyometrics, we have a squat jump with stabilization, 2 sets, 8 repetitions. And again, one of the bigger things here is that for each one of those repetitions, we are incorporating a 3 to 5 second hold after each repetition. Tempo relative to plyometrics is slow. You are definitely pausing, coaching them up when you can, minimizing compensations. We're increasing the speed and the velocity compared to what we did with activation. So we want to make sure we put them in the best position possible for successful execution. Up to 90 seconds of rest in between. Again, that's your opportunity as a personal trainer to coach them up. Tell them what they can do better. So if they have that knee coming in or feet turning out, tell them what they're doing and then tell them what they can do better. So if there's any coaching cues, tips that you can give them to maximize the level of performance for those exercises, that's what your job is as a personal trainer. And that's what we can use those rest opportunities for, is for coaching. Speed, agility, and quickness, the examples we gave, using the speed ladder, 1 ins, 2 ins, side shuffle, again, with control, we can incorporate multiple planes of motion. So with 1 ins, 2 ins, we're going forward, side shuffle, we're now going into the frontal plane. 2 sets, 1 repetition, under control. So in this area of skill development, we want to get them to learn to use their body fast, right? A lot of times you get clients that have not played sports, they haven't had to do anything where they've had to use explosive motions and positions. We want to see that they can do all those things. We want to build their confidence, but we have to put them in the best position possible to do it successfully. And if we can do that, we're going to minimize stress, and we're going to progress them responsibly from one phase through the next.